Hello and welcome back to our Christmas series here on A Decorative Home. Today we're going to create a Christmas wreath. I have this sweet young lady that's in my life and she recently moved into her first home with some friends. So as a housewarming gift, I decided to go ahead and create a beautiful gingerbread themed Christmas wreath for her. So come along and let's go create a gingerbread themed wreath together. Okay, here are the materials that we'll need to make this gingerbread themed wreath. I have an evergreen wreath. I made the bow already. We just need to fluff it, and I'll do that once it's on the wreath itself. Then I have 3 different types of ribbon that I'm going to use, and these are cut at 12 inches and they are dovetail. There's 6 of each except for this one. I have to cut 1 more. And then I have my mesh. I cut this at 12 inches. I did use a heated knife to cut that so it would kind of melt and then it won't fray as badly. I have some pipe cleaners as well as some zip ties just in case I need to use to secure onto the wreath anything. I have my scissors, my wire cutters, and a ruler. Then I have off to the side, I have the decorations that I'm going to put on. So let's go ahead and start with cutting the ribbon. So I cut the ribbon to 12 inches. Then I take the ends and fold it in half. And this is wire edged ribbon, all of the ribbon is. So I'm going to go ahead and cut at an angle to give that dovetail effect. So again, fold it in half, wire edges together, and then on the fabric side, cut down toward the corner of the wire. So there you have the dovetail effect. So the first thing we're going to want to do is fluff our wreath. And you're just going to pull the greens up so they're not laying down. That way it will make the wreath look a lot fuller. So I'm just going to go ahead and go around the whole wreath and fluff it up. Taking my mesh, laying it flat on my work surface, running my fingers up the middle of the mesh, pinching it between my first finger and my thumb, coming in with my gingerbread themed ribbon in the middle, gathering it, pinching and putting it in between my fingers. Coming in with my green ribbon, again gathering in the middle, pinching. I'm going to put that off to the side a little bit, just kind of twist it over to the side. Now I'm going to come in with my pink, gather it in the middle, pinch, and then go in at the other side. Come in with my pipe cleaner, wrap it around, twist it, my pipe cleaners I cut in half just to get more use out of them. So I have one here and one here, and I'm going to go up at the top. I want to try to make this as even as possible. So I'm going to find a spot, spread out my pipe cleaner. I'm going to flip this over. Pull the pipe cleaner tight against the frame of the wreath, twist, and then twist the pipe cleaner around so it's not facing out. That way it doesn't scratch the door. Okay, I already have 4 of my little mesh bows on. I'm going to do my 5th one right here, and I'm going to leave this spot open. You know what? I think I'm going to leave this one off because this might be a good place to put my bow. So I'm going to set this aside to use if I want to use later. I want to come in and add something right here on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and add this Merry Christmas and then these gingerbread. I cut the strings off from their ornament, so I cut the strings off because I'm not going to need those. So I'm going to set these 2 aside. I want it to kind of sit up a little bit. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of the green itself, the 2 strings on each side, 2 of the greens, and then I'm gonna pull it in through the wording. So in between the M and then in between the R and the Y, I'm gonna put that in. And then I'm just gonna take that and wrap it around, and I'm gonna flip this over and wrap that around the wire frame. Just to make sure that it's extra secure, I'm gonna go ahead and come in with my pipe cleaner, slide that under, and hook it, securing that piece of branch. So I'm going to take this green branch that I have through the R and the Y, and I'm going to loop that back down underneath, and then I'm going to flip the wreath over. This is the one that is through the R and the Y, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap that around the frame a couple times. Then I'm going to come in with a pipe cleaner and go underneath. We have the Merry Christmas secured on. So now I think I'm going to come in with one of the gingerbreads and place it over here. I took the string off the top of it, so I'm going to go ahead and come in with my pipe cleaner and use that to secure it onto the frame. So I'm just going to kind of, I want him propped up just a little bit. So I've bent the pipe cleaner back. I'm going to flip the wreath over. I've got the pipe cleaner wrapped around the frame. And before I tighten it completely, I want to make sure that this is exactly where I want it. I don't want it too tight. I think that's probably good enough. And then the green branches will hide the pipe cleaner. So I can go ahead and flip that back over. I don't need it any tighter than what I have it, so I'm going to go ahead and clip that off. Okay, we have him secure, and now I want to add her, and she's going to be propped up a little bit. I had cut the string off, but I went ahead and put it back on because I'm going to use that to help secure her onto the wreath. So I'm going to grab a pipe cleaner and loop that onto that thread, that string, and then I'm going to go right over top of the pipe cleaner for the mesh bow. Then flip it over, and I'm going to go ahead and twist like a bread tie, and then have them together and wrap them around the frame of the wreath. So she's in there nice and secure. We'll come back and we'll fix up these a little bit. But I think, now that I'm looking at this, I think I want to move this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take this mesh bow off. I had it on there good. And then I want to move it down closer to him. And then flip it over. Wrap the pipe cleaner around, twist, tuck it so the pipe cleaner doesn't scratch the door. Now that I have that moved over here, I have an empty spot over here. So I think that's a perfect place to put my bow. I can come back in and cut my tails to my bow shorter if I want. Right now, I want to leave it this long. I may cut them once I get this completed, or I may cut them once I get it on the door. So when I made my bow, I made sure to have floral wire wrapped around it because that will help me secure it to the wreath. So there's 2 circles for the wreath, and I'm going to go ahead and take my wire and put it in between the 2. Then I'm going to flip the wreath over, and I'm going to wrap it around the floral wire around the first wire of the wreath. Wrap it around good and tight, and then I think, yeah, just keep wrapping it around. I can also, just to get it double secure, I can go ahead and find the middle of my bow and come in with a zip tie. And then flop that over. So I grab the zip tie from the back side here, and then I'm going to want to go ahead and make sure that part of the zip tie, oh, I lost it. Tucked up in the bow, one of the loops. So tuck that back down underneath, grab it. Then I'm going to go ahead and wrap that part of that zip tie around the wire frame of the wreath. And then I'm going to go ahead and zip tie that nice and tight, and then cut the end. So my bow's smashed, but I can easily fix that. And I kind of want it twisted a little bit, so I'm going to have to kind of work with that just a little. Again, I'm just smashing the bow all up, but it can be easily looped back up and made pretty. So there's those, and now I have a couple extra fun little things that I thought would add a little spark to this gingerbread themed wreath. I could leave it as it is, but I think a little bit more is needed to this. So I have these fun little candies and balls, and I thought that they would look cute kind of tucked in. So I'm going to go ahead and add one at a time, and then flip the wreath over. And I don't need this long of a part, but I also want to make sure that it's secure onto the wreath frame. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around the wreath frame a couple times. My biggest fear especially when I'm giving a wreath away or when I've made one to sell, that the stuff that I put on it will fall off. So I always try to use zip ties so I know that it isn't going to fall off. So I'm going to come in with this, and I'm going to use this part of the frame. I'm going to go under the first loop and that frame, and then I will catch the stick to that pick, and then just go ahead and zip that on and tighten it. Making sure that that pick stick, or pick end, whatever you want to call it, is good and tight so it doesn't poke out. I'm going to flip that over. So when I'm done flipping this over is when we're going to work at fluffing everything. So this one I want over here to kind of balance just like that one is. So again, I'm going to flip it over, and this time I'm going to go ahead and wrap it around the top of the loop, the top circle of the wireframe. Just wrap that around a couple times. It's kind of easier said than done, but a little bit of finagling, it'll work. Then I'm going to come in with a zip tie going underneath the frame and then underneath the pick stick and securing. I like to use these green ones because they blend in well. Clipping it and then flipping back over. I'm thinking this has a little bit of an empty spot here, and then at the bottom is a little too plain for me as well. So I went ahead and created 3 more of my little mesh bows. So I'm going to go ahead and secure the first one on up at the top here. Spread my pipe cleaner out and then wrap it around and secure by twisting it like a bread tie and then tucking that pipe cleaner underneath. Now this part is a little bare for me as well, but this one's going to be a little bit trickier. I think I want it at the ends of the gingerbread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in again with my pipe cleaner open a little bit and kind of wrap that around the top part of the metal frame and twist, because I don't want it laying flat. I want it kind of angled up, so I'm going to have to pull this a little bit and kind of play around with it to get it to look the way I want it to look. See, that it's adding a lot more already. So we're going to go ahead and come in with the second one and spread open the pipe cleaner, and right underneath her is the metal frame, the top part of the metal frame, and got a pipe cleaner on both sides of it. Flip the wreath over, twist like a bread tie to secure it, tuck that bread tie back, and she flipped over. So she's just kind of standing there, so maybe we can have her little legs be held down by a branch. Now, he needs to be up a little bit. I think once I get it on the door, I'll be able to see if I can see everything correctly. Now, I still feel like there's something missing here, and I have a third one of those. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add that in at the bottom. Yeah, I think that's going to complete that look a little bit. Let's just kind of go in at an angle. All right, now we're going to flip that over, and that's the larger of the circle, so I'm going to go ahead and bend this around to go under the frame. of the wreath. Double check to make sure that's where I want it. All right, now I'm going to make sure that that's secure as well by coming in with a pipe cleaner underneath the wire frame and the pick stick and zip tying it. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of cutting my tails completely off, I think I'm going to give it like a little extra loop. So what I'm going to do, I think just this side, well, maybe the other side as well. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of loop it up a little bit, and then I'm going to pinch using a pipe cleaner, twist the pipe cleaner around the ribbon, and then find the frame, the spot on the frame. So I'm kind of going back and forth between the front and the back just so I can see what I'm doing and you can see what I'm doing. So twist and then tuck that around. All right, so that looks cute. Now this side, I think the same kind of concept. I'm just gonna go, yeah, like that. So I'm gonna pinch that right there, secure it with my pipe cleaner, and then go find a spot on the wreath frame. Now let's finish off these ends of the bow. And I'm going to dovetail these as well. So the wire edges together and down on the folded side, cut toward the wire edge. Ooh, don't cut your finger. That would be a quick trip to the emergency room, wouldn't it? Don't need that on a Friday. Or any day for that matter. So he's kind of hiding right now and I don't like that. So I think what I'm going to do is lift him up and then he can why did he end up hiding? There we go. Now we got to come back over here and dovetail these ones. So wire edge, wire edges together, down on the folded at an angle. I'm only taking a little bit off because they shortened up quite a bit. So that's why it was a good idea not to cut those at the beginning. Now that it is completed, I'm gonna go around and kind of fluff up the ribbon, the mesh ribbon bows. And I just wanna put like a little curl to them, a little puffiness. So I'm just kind of working the wire a little bit and giving it a little dimension and kind of fluff it. Let's pull that red part up here. I want that Mary to be seen though. It's totally different looking at it on the table than when it's on the door. So when I get it to the door, I might end up changing it a little bit, because I do go to my door and make sure that I like how it looks, and then if I have to come back and do any changes, I can, or I do them at the door even. All right, I think I like that better. So now that one's done, we're going to go ahead and kind of curl these up a little bit. Just work that wire ribbon, making sure that the print to the ribbon is faced up. It's such a pretty ribbon. I think this is a pretty cute wreath. I think she's going to like it. I hope she does anyhow. So we're just kind of going around. I'm going to come back to the bow. I'm going to go over to this side and get these a little bit fluffed up so they have a little curl to them. Give it a little bit more dimension. I get to see her Saturday, so I'll be able to see how she likes it in person. I usually don't get to see her very often, so when I do, I really cherish those moments. Okay, now we're gonna go fluff that bow. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I fluff and fluff on my bows. I will fluff it here, and then when I get it to the door, I will fluff it again. And then I do end up throughout the season fluff my bows a few more times. So I'm just going and kind of putting my fingers behind the ribbon and giving it a nice little loop and fluffing it that way. Spreading it open a little and make it look a little bit more full and not so flat. When you're storing wreaths or bows, if you put a little tissue underneath the bow loop, it'll keep the form and then it won't get flat. But if you like fluffing bows like me, then that's not a big deal. So if you liked this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We would love to have you as a subscriber here at A Decorative Home. We've got a lot more Christmas to come in our series. Okay, let's go hang it on the door.